Hey Shackers, welcome back to This Week in Switch 2. It's episode 25. I'm your host, Asif Khan. I'm CEO, Editor-in-Chief, EIEIO here at Shacknews. That stands for Extremely Intelligent Extreme Intelligence Officer. And in this time of AI, I decided to come up with an even trendier thing that clearly Microsoft will be spending billions of dollars on over the next few years. I'm also exclusive to Shacknews. You won't see me on another website. I am a Shacknews exclusive. So maybe I should throw another E in my EIEIO? Or am I
ruin it?
Or would I be like EEIC, ECEO, EEEIO? That sounds terrible. We're not going to do that.
Doesn't have the same ring to it.
You know what? This is why we do this podcast, just to workshop terrible ideas out of the place. Microsoft might benefit from that. But I am joined by my news editor here, Donovan Erskine, our co-host.
What's up?
Hey there. We have head of long reads, David L. Craddock here, who posted a long read just last week. The Mortal Kombat, was it?
The Making of Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection.
Legacy.
So it's a making of game, so I did a making of a making of.
That's like almost a turducken of a long read there. But very cool. Also saw you were featured in the launch trailer. Your voice. I heard you.
That's right.
You're even in the game. You're like EA Sports. You're in the game.
Yeah.
You're not like EA Sports though.
No.
Saudi has not bought David yet. And then yes, the person who named this podcast, also our senior news editor and the reviewer of Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, TJ Denzler, is joining us. Hello, TJ.
Yo, hello.
Welcome back. Thank you for naming this show. And before we get into Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, we want to talk about your review, which is up on shacknews.com. You should go read it. We also have some gameplay on this very YouTube channel that you're watching. And if you're listening to the podcast, head on over to our YouTube channel. You can watch us. You can see Donovan and David cringe as I scream about Microsoft once a week. Or David will roll his eyes repeatedly at me while I talk about the importance of F-Zero as a franchise and also a racing game.
I would not do that. What are you talking about?
I have a vertical video that proves otherwise, and I haven't posted yet because there was a ton of other. Oh yeah, you weren't rolling your eyes, but you were like, "What doesn't make you think F-Zero?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm wearing an F-Zero shirt right now, and we're going to be talking about how well racing games have sold this year." So I might bring up F-Zero. In fact, I already did. One could argue that this whole podcast was built around me talking about F-Zero. And almost every podcast I've ever done on Shack News, I have talked about F-Zero at least once a month. And yes, patron saint of F-Zero. I'm not the mayor of F-Zero Twitter, but I'm definitely one of the elder statesmen. Anyway, there are 57 days left in Doug Bowser's reign of terror at Nintendo of America. We don't mean anything negative by that. It's just Bowser, bad guy. Doug Bowser, good guy. Great run. Right? Like pretty solid run for Doug here. He did what Reggie couldn't. He shipped a Metroid Prime game.
But Reggie did ship a Metroid game.
He did. Wait, which one?
Dread.
No.
Really?
Wasn't that after he left?
That might have been. You might be right.
That was after. I'm telling you.
I take it back.
Doug
Reggie couldn't do it. He couldn't get it done.
Reggie shipped Nintendo Land, which had that Metroid mini game, so there's that.
I'll take the W.
But okay. The main event here. TJ, you were able to review the game despite the draconian embargo requirements of Nintendo of America. How do you think it turned out? What do you think about Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment? Am I, as a Zelda nerd, going to enjoy this game and the accompanying lore? Let us know what you think.
Yeah, so Koei Tecmo and Nintendo actually made a new team for this one, AAA game studio. And this is, as far as I know, the first time that that is a straight up just one studio collaboration of Nintendo and Koei Tecmo developers. So basically all they did was they brought them all in house to work together more closely. And man, they did a really good job on it. This might be the final ribbon for the Breath of the Wild era of Zelda. And if it is, it's a good one because it explores like one of the last things that remained in Tears of the Kingdom, which was the war between the original king Rauru and the demon king Ganondorf as it happened. Like we get that in memories in Tears of the Kingdom, like little snippets, but this explores it like Age of Calamity did with the time 100 years prior when Link fought Calamity Ganon.
Yeah.
And we get to see like so many characters that were just teased, like gleaned, and we really got to know nothing about them. We get to play as them and like learn more about them and explore this world with them. And I love it.
Yeah, you're talking about like those four sages that you do see in like minor cutscenes in Tears of the Kingdom when you're like helping your champions out or the new sages out, right? Their descendants. So like you see them, they talk a little bit, but you don't really ever get to play as them, and you don't really know much about them other than that's a Zora, that's a Rito, there's a Goron one. But then even like a character like Minoru, who is more present in the story of Tears of the Kingdom, you didn't get to play as her. And
Yeah.
I think that was, I've watched some of your gameplay, and that was the one that I was like, oh, this is very different than any Dynasty Warriors or Musou game I've seen, in that they took straight up gameplay mechanics from Tears of the Kingdom and they threw them into this battle calculus. And I think that's just really cool.
Yeah. Like the fact that you actually use Zonai devices in battle, like that every character can sort of just access them in addition to the combos and moves that they do, is just plain fun. Because like sometimes you need to attack an ice moblin with a fire emitter just to melt that ice and break through, and that's actually like a strategic part of the fights.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it. Like the way that they incorporated Tears of the Kingdom stuff with the Zonai devices is so fun. Like the way that you equipped the ones that you need on any given character because they're part of these skill attacks in the game where like enemies will launch these attacks that you have to counter with a specific type of attack. Like if they're rushing at you, you need to use like a shield attack to stop them. Or if they go to the air, you need to use an anti-air attack to knock them out. And the Zonai devices actually help kind of fill out the things that a character doesn't have, so you're still kind of equipped as you go. I love that because it's just another kind of layer of strategy and offense on top of what we've already had. And these characters are all fun to play anyways. Like Rafika is, I love the Ritos. I love playing as the Ritos in Musou games. It was awesome playing Rivali, and Rafika here is just as fun. They have such different combat styles. Like Rafka's using a lot of wind attacks and arrows. Minoru is just using crazy amalgamations that seem like they probably. I bet you Nintendo was actually looking at the creative community and seeing what they were doing with Ultra Hand and the bonding as they were building Minoru's combo set because it is ridiculous.
Well, with Zelda Notes, right? That app or that part of the Switch Online app or Switch app that launched this year, you can share construct builds. Like you can share your Ultra Hand builds on that app now. So Nintendo has this database of cool builds, and I think that the devs have been watching players, streaming it and gameplay, because there's just that community has been like super sharing with these ideas, right? Like the subreddits and like the YouTube channels, like people are like, hey, what if you try this? Hey, what if you did this? Check out this new build I did. Like for years after that game launched, it was like still cool things were being built. I've done a couple streams where I was like building things for science. But yeah, I do think that they probably looked at like the fans and what we've been doing and like brought some of that in here. And I think that's just super cool. Because that was like, I've seen some criticisms of this game. And like even myself, like I think, Musou games are Musou games, right? But the IP that are chosen for these allow for different gameplay mechanics. I think that's really shined in these Hyrule Warriors games more than almost any of these other collaborations. That's awesome, man. I know you had like a couple of negatives in this review. The soundtrack wasn't as much of a banger as Age of Calamity, is what you were saying.
You know, and that might be my taste because I'm looking around and I'm seeing people saying like regularly that they like the music that they've heard so far, and you liked a track that I was particularly not up on when I shared it with you.
Yeah, it's not. I think your point though is like there's a somber tone to a lot of the music in this, but it's like it's action. It's like a very fast paced action game. So to have these like mellow songs in the background it's kind of weird.
They're very background noise droney in some cases. There are some that are actually like bangers that are growing on me even as I keep listening to them. But there are just quite a few that like I'm thinking to myself, man, almost every song in Age of Calamity was a banger, and I like went tracking down extended versions of them that I could listen to while I worked throughout the day. I love that soundtrack. I think Age of Calamity has one of the best video game soundtracks of all time.
Yeah.
I wanted that out of Age of Imprisonment, and it just didn't get there for me.
Yeah, the thing I think's interesting about music in this is you call it the Breath of the Wild era. Is like Breath of the Wild as a game was quiet, right? Like there was this balance of like silence and solitude, and then like a guardian shows up and that piano music kicks in, or like when the blood moon's rising or whatever. Like there's all these different moments in Breath of the Wild where they become very musical. But for a lot of the game, it is very quiet and somber. Tears of the Kingdom definitely felt more alive, right? Like the villages were more alive, the people were more alive. You had different characters you would talk to who had themes. It was like a busier Hyrule. This definitely seems like I think what's interesting about the setting of Age of Imprisonment, this is the founding of the Kingdom of Hyrule, right? This is the origin story for at least this kingdom, right? Like the one that ends in Tears or in Skyward Sword, however you want to look at the Zelda timeline here. But I think maybe it's because of that is like part of the reason why it's less full of like, as you say, banger soundtrack songs. Like it might just be part of that nature of like where they are in that history. It's like a less lively time in Hyrule, and it is like just war. But yeah, there could have been like there are moments though, like you think back in like Ocarina of Time, David, like there's these battle moments where the music's just outstanding in that game, and that was an N64 game. But yeah, I was a little disappointed to hear that. I do want to I think they should just drop it on Nintendo Music to help promote this game. And maybe while they're at it, throw Age of Calamity on there too.
Yeah. And I will say, like, the thing that probably stood out to me most that I hope that Koei Tecmo keeps using in other games, the sync attacks. So one of the things they put in this game is that every single playable character that has a meter that builds up as they like work together. And when you max them out, those characters can activate a sync attack. And what it does depends on the two characters that you use. So, like, in the case of Zelda and Rauru, both using the power of light, they basically both fire off beams of light from their hands that you can control separately with each of the sticks. And then they fire off a super beam together. Whereas, like, when you do a sync attack with Minoru and Rauru, Minoru just like constructs a whole bunch of spears of light for Rauru, and he just walks through crazy aura, picks them up, and just starts flinging them at enemies left and right. It's so cool. Every one of them is so freaking cool, and I hope that they keep doing that in future games because it was so fun to explore.
That sounds awesome. There is a scene I mean, at this point, if you haven't beaten Tears of the Kingdom, like, are you ever going to? I ask our panelists here. Probably not. Like, David, I know the story doesn't matter, but like there is a moment.
No, I like the story. That was the highlight of that game for me. But you told it to me, and I watched it so I don't need to beat it.
There's that moment. I believe it's in the Imprisoning War memory, where Rauru, Sonya, and Zelda put their like hands together and shoot like a beam out. So it's one of those examples, TJ, of taking something from Tears and then like turning it into a gameplay mechanic, which I think is cool, David. Is like, yeah, it was a cool story moment, but now it actually like it's a mechanic in a game. Also, like it's just fun to play as Zelda in games. Like I think Obviously, we got a top-down Zelda game where you get to play as Zelda in Echoes of Wisdom. But, Hyrule Warriors has been that place for the past two. Could you play as Zelda in the first Hyrule Warriors? I can't even remember.
You could if you got far enough.
Yeah. So, that's 3 Hyrule Warriors games where you've actually been able to play as her. And then, the Echoes of Wisdom game, which I thought was absolutely delightful. But yeah, I think if that was going to be one of my questions, though, is someone who hasn't played Tears of the Kingdom, can they just jump into this? Or would you recommend they play Tears of the Kingdom?
I would recommend you at least get a little bit into Tears of the Kingdom so that you have an understanding of what is happening here, because it does kind of just it goes fast through the events that got Zelda to the past and put her in and helped her meet Sonia and Rauru. You go through that in just a few minutes, and then you're and then they're off.
And then in Tears of the Kingdom, that's a good 15-20 minutes of an intro segment where you're kind of trailing Zelda into the depths, and then the reveal of the Demon King and all that stuff. So yeah, it makes sense though that they want to just throw you in. It's a game that's about action. So that makes sense.
I've often described these as a companion piece to the main game. And I would say that in general cases, unless I'm mistaken, a companion piece kind of requires the original thing for it. You have to have at least that understanding going in.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, I play these games, I like the stories in the Hyrule Warriors games because I'm a Zelda fan. But I usually play these just as button mashers. When Amy and I sit down to play, she's even more reluctant to watch the cutscenes than I am. She's I just want to hit things. So I wonder if you could play it like that too. You might not need to pay as much attention to the story.
I'm actually kind of curious about, David brought up cutscenes. That is a negative in your review, TJ. That was kind of one of the shocking things that I saw in your review, is that's where the performance dipped? Was in the cutscenes of all places?
I was shocked. The gameplay in Age of Imprisonment at all times is just buttery smooth. You can watch any one of my videos and it's just crisp as can be. No laggy, no hitchiness, no visual glitches. It's perfect. And then they do these cutscenes, and I kept noticing the frame rate dropping and a little bit of stutter. And I was what is happening here? Why does it work less well here as opposed to the game where I have hundreds of enemies on the screen and I'm doing these explosive attacks left and right? What happened?
That's really weird too, because Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild had great cutscenes, and obviously Nintendo Pictures, that was their first game that they were credited on for Nintendo, was Tears of the Kingdom. I guess they weren't involved here. But that's so weird, man. Cause that's usually the opposite. So it's just kind of strange.
I have to wonder if, this game also launched on the original Switch. I have to wonder if the cutscenes themselves were packaged in a way that they had to work on both. They weren't made differently.
Wait, is Age of Imprisonment on both systems?
I do believe so, yes.
Huh.
Hold on. Let me
I don't think so.
That's weird because are the cutscenes pre-rendered or are they real time in engine?
I want to say
it seems
at least,
they're
yeah. But I know in Zelda, David, I think they're in engine.
This is only Switch 2.
Yeah, this is only Switch 2. So there's no excuse here. That's my point.
I don't understand then.
Yeah, maybe it was. I guess the point you can make, TJ, and this is I doubt it because Nintendo was working with them on this, but these early Switch 2 games, some of them started as development in Switch 1 era. So maybe this was one of those games. They never really will say otherwise, but I think Donkey Kong Bonanza started out as a Switch 1 game, and then it kind of came over.
Nintendo actually revealed that themselves, in a BTS talkback.
So yeah, it's possible something like that happened, but that's one of those things where I found pretty disappointing in your review. I was man, I really do enjoy I'm with you, David. Action games, sure, you don't necessarily need them. But when it comes to Zelda stuff, I just love watching cutscenes from Zelda games. If it's interesting, if it's a story I care about. Which brings me to my point that I've been thinking about. The reason why I'm going to buy this game on day one and play it, TJ, I want to play as Rauru. How is Raru? Tell me about Raru. Is he a badass? How badass is he? And like, is it as epic as like, I think he's one of the best characters in Tears. And
It truly is.
and like I love that character. I love the whole story arc, and I know that his story is very much the story of this game, right? Like you mentioned it. It's a battle between the Demon King Ganondorf and the first king of Hyrule, Raru. So how badass is Raru?
You're not joking. He's main character potential all over him. I would say that this game is more about him than it is about Zelda or anyone else.
Yeah.
And like that, his fight, like I said, he is Aura personified. His attacks are so ridiculously cool. Like every special that he does, every super that he does, every sync attack that he does is just exuding confidence. It's so like, and to see him like go that hard is just impressive in of itself, because he's like, Raru is canonically like one of the strongest people in all of Hyrule.
And he's also like calm though. Like he's not this like the whole throughout the game of Tears of the Kingdom, he's a very chill dude. He's not like flying off the handle really ever. Even in that like ultimate moment in one of those cutscenes.
For a really nerdy deep cut, he's like Blackful. He can level mountains, but he doesn't because he's a good person.
Yep. And yeah, like the whole narrative that like the Zonai descended onto Hyrule and they were like demigods basically. Like there's a lot to Raru's lore that I think lends well to being the main character kind of energy. So that's exciting to hear. Because I know like people are like, oh, you're not going to get to play as Link, and we don't have to talk about spoilers or anything in this game in this podcast. But like, when everyone was saying that early on, I'm like, but you get to play as Raru. Like, I'm like, I don't really care. Like, I'm like, we've played as Link for years in every game. Like, that's why I was excited about Echoes of Wisdom. I'm like, this is a whole different gameplay mechanic. That's cool. And like you said, the sync attacks and like Raru and his sister Minoru, like those are really cool characters in Tears of the Kingdom. Like, it's just like you said, there some of these characters, like the Goron Sage, the Rito Sage, like you barely heard them say a word in Tears of the Kingdom. But Raru and Minoru are like, they're very important characters. And I think it's cool to see them like shine here.
Zelda gets a lot of shine here too, because you have to remember that in almost every other Zelda game, she's learning to handle her power. And this game, she has an understanding of her power right from the get-go from the events of Breath of the Wild. And also, she is learning under Raru and Sonia how to control it. So she's in the fight from minute one this time, which is like a never before for Zelda.
Yeah.
And she's so awesome. Like the way that they used her light powers, but also mixed her time powers into it. There's a certain point where her combos work out that she fires off her powers of light and then use her time powers to like make the power come back and repeat. It's so cool to watch.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a really good point. Breath of the Wild, she discovers her light powers, right? Tears of the Kingdom, she discovers her time powers. And then in the past, she gets sent back to the beginning of Hyrule. That's where she learns from Sonia and Raru, right? Like, and that's just really cool. You're right. Like, we haven't, a lot of the time you see Zelda evolve in a game and like learn and grow. This time she's just a badass from the jump, and that's just cool. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. How much Queen Sonia do we get? Decent amount?
A decent amount, but yeah.
Yeah. We don't have to say anything else. I was just curious, like, because I've seen she's playable, right? Like, she is a playable character, right?
Raru and Sonia's sync attack is like the most heart-meltingly cute thing and also awesome thing ever.
God damn. You got me wanting to play this game, man. That's crazy.
It's pretty good.
I'm gonna have to put down Pokemon.
The last thing I'm going to warn about, because I put it as a con in my review, and it always bugs me about these games, is get ready for padding. We're talking about, like, you finish a mission, and it takes you back to the map screen and just spatters it with side quests. Like, all over the place. And most of them are just, like, playing smaller versions of battles against monsters you already fought.
And in
It's
the
mostly
same,
a way to level up your characters for future battles, but it's still just so patty.
and it's the same settings, right? So it's like you had this big ass battle, it's over, and now it's like before you move on, here's a bunch of little ones in the same place you just fought.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And
deflating.
and usually just small sections of the places you fought, where you just fight off a combination of some of the enemies you've seen already, and that's it.
And that's like straight out of the Dynasty Warriors formula, man. Like that's just their games fall into that a lot, and it's why I rarely finish these games. So it's like that when I was reading your review, those were like the three main negatives, right? It was the cutscene performance, these side quests, and yeah, the soundtrack. Like the one that I was like, ugh, it was the side quests, because I'm like, I just kind of want the action and just like nonstop action all the way through. So that was frustrating to read about.
Man, there was a mission where like I finished a story mission and it takes me back to the map and it just goes pew 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 pew, and I'm just like, no, please.
Yeah. So score, you gave this an 8 out of 10.
I liked it a little less than Age of Calamity. It's still a great Musu game. I think it's improved in gameplay wise for the most part over Age of Calamity. But that padding, the lesser soundtrack in my opinion, and the cutscenes just bumped this down just a little bit under Age of Calamity as a whole.
And is this the first Musu game that we've had anything like a sync attack, like these two characters coming together?
I think it's one of it might have happened in Three Hope and Fire Emblem Warriors Three Hopes,
Okay.
but I cannot remember.
This definitely seems like the best implementation of that. So I hope they can bring that to other of these Musu games in the future.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Anything else you want to let the folks at home know about?
Calamo is a top 5 Zelda character. He's a Korok that you can play as in the game. He's a completely new character for Age of Imprisonment. He's looking for a place to put down his roots, and
The pun.
he's just a little guy. What's up?
The pun is very strong in him.
He's very fun. He's very comedic relief, but in a good way. I love Calamo. Also, his attack style is one of the funnest in the game because like whatever button you end his combo on uses a different elemental seed. So he throws out either electricity, fire, or ice, or water, depending on where you end the combo. And then for his super attack, he just grabs a hornet's nest and throws it at the enemy along with a bunch of seeds to get them all mad, and they do the work for him. He's just a funny little dude. I love him.
So better than Hestu in Age of Calamity?
You know, I'm gonna have to say yes. Calamo is a really silly little guy, and he was easily one of the highlights of the whole game.
So a little bit of a tangent, but definitely Zelda related. I got a bunch of trees removed here a couple of weeks ago, and I have this stump in my like driveway area now, like in this patio. And I'm like, man, I should put a Korok there. But I was like, I went online and I was like, where can I find like a sculpture of a Korok? They're all very small. So it got me thinking, maybe I should get like a sculpture of Hestu and put him there. But now you got me thinking I should be a Calamo. Anyway. I love the Koroks in moderation, obviously, because there's 900 of them in each Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom game. Is he like unique? Are there other Koroks that he interacts with, or is it just him?
Yeah, you can still find other Koroks in this game, and
Okay.
And they give you seeds for something in particular, but you don't have to use them to power him up this time, so that's kind of nice because you actually had to find them to power up Hestu.
The maracas, they needed the seeds.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I am interested. I will buy this game. I will play this game, and I will probably have a giant smile on my face because I'm going to get to play as some of my favorite characters in a new Zelda game. That's awesome, man. I think 8 out of 10 is a fair score. It seems like you're kind of in line with a lot of the other people out there. Some 3-letter websites were unable to file a review, TJ, because they said it was too hard to not spoil it.
I mean,
Did you find it hard? Did you find it hard to write your review without spoiling the game for everybody?
I think there was only one edit where you were like, let's change that up a bit so it doesn't give something away.
But that wasn't even, you weren't even spoiling Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. It was just a story arc from Tears that I was like, let's remove that. Because, like, there still are, like, that game, Tears of the Kingdom did not sell as well as Breath of the Wild, right? There's still a lot of people out there who have not beaten that game. I maintain it's a 10 out of 10 game. Having played it yesterday, because I was capturing, we put up all of the memories from Tears of the Kingdom just to get people ready for Age of Imprisonment. And I was playing it in 4K 60 FPS on Switch 2, and I was like, yep, this is a perfect, like, this is a 10 out of 10 game for me. So yeah, like, I was just like, you know, in case there's people out there, I have seen some people on my timeline who are like, I just got a Switch 2, and I picked up Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild and like Mario Odyssey. And I'm like, you're just experiencing all these for the first time? Like, you're so lucky. These are great games. And they run better than even when we were giving them Game of the Year awards, right? David, like in 2017, Breath of the Wild was the Game of the Year. Obviously, Mario Odyssey was right on its heels. And then Tears of the Kingdom won Game of the Year as well in 23. But yeah, I'm like, and no disrespect to this game, but I'm like, there's people who I know who are going to ask me about this who haven't beaten Tears. I'm like, go back and play Tears first. Like, I think it's worth playing that before you play this. Or at least go watch all of our videos, you know, for the cutscenes, but also like, you know, there's moments in Tears of the Kingdom, David. Like, I think there's this moment that you got to where you're like, okay, that's a video game right there. That when you get the Master Sword in Tears of the Kingdom, it's like one of the all-time moments in video games. And I would also argue that the boss battle, like TJ, this final series, whatever you want to call it, of boss battles in Tears of the Kingdom, I think it's peak Nintendo. I think it's like the best Nintendo boss ending sequence ever. So don't ignore that to play this game is all I'm saying. Like, experience that either through watching it or playing it yourself, because it'll make this game, I think, mean more to you. Because, like, I care way more about Rauru and Queen Sonia than I would have otherwise, right? And it's exciting. I've seen a lot of Zelda fans are very excited for this game. We didn't get a Mario game at launch this time, right? Like, we got Mario Kart, and we got Donkey Kong Bonanza, and we didn't really get a Breath of the Wild this launch, but we got Hyrule. You know what I mean? Like, it's like Nintendo gave us like a little bit of fan service for both those franchises in this launch year. But man, it really makes me look back at 2017 as like, man, that was a magical year for Nintendo. Like, Breath of the Wild and Odyssey and the Switch, and they're back up against the wall because the Wii U was a failure. This, like, as we progress through this year, it's just really been interesting to look back at that original Switch and be like, wow, that was truly a moment in time. And yeah, it does feel like this is the end point for the Breath of the Wild saga, right? Like, even though it's a prequel, essentially, it feels like they've talked about everything. They talked about Calamity Ganon defeating Link, right? That the events leading up to Breath of the Wild. And now they've talked about the Imprisoning War, which, you know, led up, or is part of Tears of the Kingdom, so. I would like to see them do one more thing in this engine, though. Like the Zelda engine, or whatever you want to call it. They don't even name it, I don't think. They might have an internal name for it. I'd like an Ocarina of Time remake.
I understand that this is probably the end of the Breath of the Wild era, but also, man, it's a tragedy if this is like the only stuff we get Kalamo and Rauru in such capacity.
Right?
I really like these versions of those characters a lot.
Yeah, like, Raru's such an interesting character, man. Like, he really is. And, like, if they want to make a spin-off game of just him and his adventures, I wouldn't be mad. I think other people would be furious, but I wouldn't be mad.
They should call Calypso Media, the people who make what is it called? The dictator game, Politico, and make a Hyrule sim with where you play as Raru.
That's an interesting idea. God, like a dictator, Raru, the benevolent dictator of Hyrule.
Yes.
On second thought, just do that, but with Tulsa King. Anyway, before we talk about this next news story, David and I were talking about this last night. I think this is just an interesting point to bring it up, David. So, like, this is Nintendo's doing well this year. They have a new system and everything. And I mentioned it. We didn't get a mainline Mario game this year. And we didn't get, the Breath of the Wild equivalent. We got Hyrule Warriors. And Zelda and Mario are basically 1 and 2, or Mario and Zelda are 1 and 2 franchises at Nintendo, right? But, like, we're in this era, the era of the big three, right, Donovan? Like, there's the three. What would you guys say is the third IP at Nintendo right now? It's an interesting question, right?
Yeah, I'm assuming we're not counting Pokemon because it's kind of a partial first party sort of situation.
Glad you brought that up. I kind of view that as second party, right? Because, like, they don't fully own it, and they don't, like... Yes, Pikachu is very prominent in a lot of their stuff, but, like, there's no Pokemon at Nintendo World, right?
Yeah.
Yet. But, yeah, leaving Pokemon out of it. Because I do think that's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
What is the third IP?
It's tough. I think that, like, many years ago, I would have guessed, like, a Metroid or something. Splatoon could be a good answer, I think, especially looking at it from the Japanese POV. Those games do crazy over there, and just... You look at franchises that have gotten the most love the last 10 years. We're on 3 Splatoons already and a spin-off incoming. I don't know. I will say whatever it is, there's a decent gap between 1 and 2. It's definitely not a even playing field thing. It's almost like the meme of, like, the people on the pedestals after the race, and it's like first place, second place, and then way down here.
Yeah, because what's interesting is, like, I was talking, like, historical context, right? Like, we're talking about this, David, like, in the 80s, I would have said Donkey Kong. But then now there's this whole, like, is Donkey Kong part of Mario? Like, is that one IP now? But, like, there was, like, legit Donkey Kong arcade games before Mario even existed. And there was Donkey Kong Jr. And, like, you think about that NES era, there was a lot of Donkey Kong. But there was also Metroid back then. And Metroid, I think, was the third IP in the NES era. And even in the SNES, right? With Super Metroid. But then, like, 64 happens.
No Metroid.
Yeah, and also, what was it? And I brought this up in our conversation. I'm not saying this is the case now. I'm saying it probably should have been. Star Fox should have been the third IP. Like, I think it's iconic characters, some of the best video games that they've ever made. But then, like, they tripped over themselves. Star Fox 64 was so good that they, like, fell into a trap of not being able to do better than it, and then that IP kind of fell off. It's obviously not, like, smaller franchises, but, I think at Nintendo, maybe it is, like, something like Pikmin that they hold really close to their hearts. Like, I think for Miyamoto, it's probably Pikmin, right? But, like, for fans, I think you're right to point out the regional nature, Donovan. Sorry, go ahead, David.
Well, also the regional nature, but also what is the criteria? Like, are we talking sales? Are we talking notoriety? Like, there are so many variables in this. Like,
yeah,
we will get into this later, but Donkey Kong Bonanza has sold pretty well for what it is, and that could be considered a third, like the third of the top 3. But then there's also Animal Crossing, which has been, this is another point we brought up. Animal Crossing has been on every platform since the first one came out on GameCube, actually Nintendo 64. And so that's an interesting point too. I have kind of a bit of a controversial take. When we say Mario's the number one IP, I think of 2D and 3D Mario games. I think of Kart separately, and I think Kart is probably that third, or could be that third.
I would also suggest, if you're talking 21st century, Super Smash Bros. I mean, talk about a
Yeah.
franchise that's on they always make sure there's one on every console. Whenever there is a new Smash, it's just one of the biggest things in gaming. It even kind of, penetrates outside of the hardcore Nintendo audience. People who don't play Marios and Zeldas will show up for Smash.
I think
Yeah, you
Donovan
can say
might
that
be
about
right.
Kart too.
Yeah, you could say that with Kart.
too.
Kart as well. Yeah.
But I like your point about Animal Crossing, David, especially the momentum of that franchise, which we're about to get into here. But the sales, it's sold incredibly well. All right, so that's part of it. I think it's notoriety of the brand. I think it's the sales. It's also like the merchandising. Like if Nintendo's buying, setting up plushies and movies for your game, like that's probably a sign that you're one of the, flagship IP. But yeah, like it's just interesting. It's like Mario and Zelda, and then there's a large gap if you ignore Pokemon, and then there's a lot of other games that you can make arguments for. Definitely think Donkey Kong is rising, but it's also kind of the same universe as, it's interesting. I think Kart and Smash, I think those are both really good points, though. Is that Smash, I think, might be the answer. Which is funny, because that game has, 88 characters and all these different IP, and Sonic is in it, and Mega Man's in it, and like Pac-Man.
What's the second best-selling game on Switch, though? Is it Animal Crossing?
Yes.
Is it?
Yeah.
And then Kart is number one.
Yes.
So, if we're going by sales as a criteria, I don't know where Smash falls. I'm sure it's in the top 10, maybe even top 5.
I think it's
but
top 5.
Kart is number one with a bullet, and there's no catching up to it at this point.
No. And it's funny because it's not just with the Switch, David. Like Kart sold extremely well on Wii, right? Like it's not it's not just specific to it sold well last generation. This is something that's been going on for multiple generations. To I think your point that it is its own brand, like Kart. You don't even say Mario Kart; you just say Kart. People know what you're talking about. That's true with Smash. You just say Smash, and people know what you're talking about, right? So I think those two are like neck and neck. But to your point, if we're just looking at sales numbers, it's got to be Kart, right? But yeah, I think
even on the Switch too, which again we'll get into later. But the adoption rate or the attachment rate for Mario Kart World and Switch 2 are almost
it's like around 90% right now. So they're failing. But here are your top 3 Switch games as of last night's earnings report. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has sold 0.56 million units. That's bananas. Animal Crossing New Horizons has sold 48.62 million units. That's crazy for an Animal Crossing game. Obviously, it dropped as the lockdown happened in the COVID-19 pandemic of 2020 through 2022. Some say it's still going on today. And then, number 3 is Smash with 36.93 million units sold. So those are I would say those are the 3 to choose from for that third spot. If you want to be a stickler about it, I think you have to pick Animal Crossing because Mario is Mario, and Smash it has Zelda characters, it has Mario characters, it has Donkey Kong characters. It's kind of everything, but to Donovan's point earlier, it is a brand, and it does take over the internet, right? But did you see the news? This is a segue. Did you see the news last week, David?
Oh, yes, I did. Donovan alerted me to it.
3 years! It's been 3 years since we got an Animal Crossing New Horizon update, David, and they said it would be the last one. They said this will be the last update. This will be the last free update. They said it. That lady, they used the same narrator lady in that trailer as this thing could have been a direct. This video,
I know.
This Animal Crossing New Horizons video that dropped last week, it could have been a direct. It
Like
could have
15 minutes, I think.
It was like 12, 13, 15 minutes of just unadulterated, bam, 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 here's all the stuff you wanted. Oh, you need Mr. Rossetti? Bam, here he is. Oh, you want Zelda characters, David? Bam, there's Zelda. You want a Triforce in your house? Here you go. I'm like, whoa. A lot of the things that I like New Leaf more than Animal Crossing New Horizons. They're like, oh, really? Here. I'm like, oh, okay. This was a crazy video. They announced a lot of stuff. Yes, there's a Switch 2 edition coming, 4K, 30 FPS with mouse controls. The only thing out of that I actually want is the mouse control thing. The resolution doesn't really bother me in Animal Crossing. No. I'm not like, oh man.
Here's the thing, right? Like, it bumps it up to 4K, but takes the frame rate down on Switch 2 to 30 frames per second, which is what it ran. It ran sub 30 on Switch 1, let's be honest. But like, unless there's a choice to choose over, frame rate or performance, I'm going performance. And if you can't, if by some reason you can't, I would expect there to be a choice. But if there's not, I'm not getting the Switch 2 update. The one thing about it that does look cool is you can get a megaphone and actually shout to get your villagers' attention, which I think sounds hilarious. I would do that all the time.
There's also camera play. There's also game chat camera play support where like your little video, like in Mario Kart World, how you have your little video bubble. That'll be a feature in Animal Crossing. I could see that being huge with kids.
Yes,
because they I've played Mario Kart World with my friends' kids over there in Japan, and they always want to be on camera with me, and they're like making funny faces and stuff. Like, that's that kid-like thing that Nintendo gets right a lot, that I think will be very present in the Switch 2 version of it. But yeah, like, the more I looked at it, I was like, I don't really need it, right? But with the option, I think I would take it. Sorry, go ahead, Don.
I really want to know more about the megaphone because that caught me off guard. I remember them talking about the microphone being a thing in the Switch 2's hardware, but it was kind of immediately just like ignored by that like first slate of like first party games. This is the first one I've seen that's like making it a big in-game feature. So I want to know what the extent of it is, because in the trailer, the demonstration is you just say a villager's name and they're like a few feet away and they're like, oh, hey, I'm over here. But like, is it just to call villager names? Like, if I'm in my house and I say Stitches, will he like walk through the door? I want to know how far that feature goes.
Yeah.
The microphone use.
Apparently you can, when they say I'm over here, you can actually find them on the map. So if you can do that with vendors, that's a game changer. Because every time I want, like, Flick comes, I always tell Flick my wasps that I catch every day. But he can be hard to find. He's wandering around, or she, I'm not sure.
Or the turnip lady.
Or the turnip lady. And they can be hard to find because you never know where they're wandering.
Yeah.
And like that,
Celeste,
you can get
the
Celeste.
Yeah, there's several characters like that who have random spawns that just randomly appear. That in fact I could be like, hey Celeste, that would be cool, actually.
Yeah, that would be cool.
So that's fine and all. Switch 2, cool. The Switch 2 of it all, fine. Whatever. 3.0 update, free for everyone who has this game. They told us we weren't getting any more, and then they go ham. This is crazy. So we got Cappen's Family Hotel, David. This is like a free version of Happy Home Designer, essentially. You get to design hotel rooms in this hotel. You get to, it's like crazy. There's like a new thing to collect, David. There's new tickets that you can earn to do more things and buy more things. You can now buy a mug from the hotel. You can buy a clock. You can buy an umbrella, David. You can buy tubular shelves from the hotel. And then you can put them in the hotel rooms to make your rooms even better. So it's like, hey.
I'll tell you what, I hope those items transfer over to the main game. Like, I hope that you can buy because they have like marble walls and floors that look really posh. They have a new fireplace. I would love to get my hands on those to decorate houses with them.
I would love to make a ballroom on the east side of my house with that. But yeah, so that's cool. Just like giant new thing to do. For me, here's where I was like, thank you, Nintendo. They are increasing the storage capacity from, I think it's 5,000 to 9,000 items now, David. But wait, there's more. You've been to my island. It's like a forest. I can store trees now. I don't have to just tear them down. I don't just have to throw them away. I don't have to chop them down. I can just store them. Because I have so many damn trees, you guys said. Like, I don't want to. It's part of the economy of Cape Divox, damn it. And I don't want to ruin my economic plan, but sometimes I do want to expand. And, I added a volleyball court on the beach, and I have a soccer field now. So, like, this is cool. I know for you, David, this is probably a big deal, too. Mr. Rossetti's reset service, where you can just be like, hey, clean this area up. And he just takes all your stuff, and if you choose, he'll throw it in your inventory. You don't have to worry about picking up every individual thing and putting it in your house and then going back outside. He'll just deal with it. This was one of those things that was present in New Leaf, kind of, but this is actually a more specific one. You can do it based on location. So I think that's quite cool. Also, you can craft out of your inventory now. You don't have to have the stuff on you.
Not only that,
multiple at once.
Multiple at once.
That's wild.
Because how many times have you had to sit there just like mashing A over and over to craft like 10 things, 10 of the same thing? That's crazy.
Way too long. So thank you for the quality of life update. All of that, awesome. Man, thank you. Mm-hmm. Very happy. Adds a ton of value to me. As someone who's like, I don't want to tear down my trees, but I also need to make room for this new stupid thing that I thought of. So that's awesome. We also got Luna's Dream World, which is like...
So this could be potentially the biggest part of this update. If I'm understanding this correctly, and Donovan or Asif, correct me if I'm off base here, you're allowed to create up to like 3 dream islands.
Yes.
Which essentially means you can do 3 more islands. I can have 3 more islands to theme however I want. More houses, more decorations. That's what had Amy and me going ape during this trailer. Because I created 2 other characters on my Switch for 2 other villagers so I could have 2 other houses. And I'm out of space there. I don't have room for another house. But with these dream islands, I can build another house. I could customize another island. Like, that to me looks awesome.
We can set the time and weather. And we can make an island together, you guys. How cool is that?
Yeah. That's right.
They showed people designing, terraforming simultaneously. All that looks so sick.
I'm like, I'm so in. We are streaming the fuck out of this game. This was the moment where I texted David. I'm like, we are streaming this game a lot next year. Because, like, this is awesome, man. Like, this is so cool. Cooperative building. Like, communities are going to be able to get together and build. Oh, by the way, 12 players now. 12 players, not
Can
just 8.
Can you imagine sitting through 11 entrances?
I can't.
That's the thing that they did not show us, and they didn't mention at all. Yeah. The airport is still going to be a nightmare. Like, there's no way. There's no way.
As you said, that's part of the sim, right? Yeah. Like the airports suck.
I want to know if Dream Islands will use the same animation and like airport functionality, because like this is a new feature. You don't, it's a dream island, so it doesn't have to be the whole airport thing. I wonder if it'll be a different like process to joining a dream island.
Oh man, Donovan, it's gonna still be the same horrible thing. You know it.
Yeah.
But I'm ecstatic. I don't know if you can tell.
Oh.
This is truly a gem of the Switch era. And like, so frequently in the past, Animal Crossing fans get a lot of stuff, within that 2 years when the game launches, and then it's like radio silence for 8 years, and then like, we just play the same Animal Crossing game until the next one comes, and then you play the next one. This is interesting in that they told us it was over, but wait, there was more. And then they go ham. This is like, it could have just been like, oh, here's a couple of things, some quality of life things, whatever. What was the one thing I complained about? I want to be able to do stuff in Animal Crossing. Like, let me do stuff. You built this super cool arcade in your house, David, right? Like, you had this whole room. You had stuff. Like, it looked awesome, but you couldn't play any of the games. Now, for some reason, you can play Clue Clue Land, but You can also play Ice Climber and Dr. Mario. Like, you can buy a Famicom, and you can buy a Game Boy, and you can actually play these games.
Which is something they've been doing since the first one. Like, why just now, right? Like,
but this is the most Nintendo-ass thing they could have done with this feature. You can only play these games in Animal Crossing New Horizons if you buy those things with your bells, but you also have to have Nintendo Switch Online.
Of course.
Which... why is it just 3 games then? Like, if I have the Nintendo system, let me play Nintendo games that are already on your Switch Online service. Just let me play all Nintendo games that you already have. Like, what? Are they gonna drip drop? Is this another drip drop that they figured out? Like, are we gonna get... is this how we get Rad Racer? Are we gonna get Rad Racer in Animal Crossing?
What I'm wondering is, if you think back to the first Animal Crossing, you had to buy a separate NES for every game. I'm wondering if you buy one NES, if you'll be able to pick the game, or if you're going to have to buy like 3, 4, 5, however many games they have for them. That's what I'm wondering.
I'll buy 100.
I will do what I have to do.
I have so many damn bells, David. I will buy all of them. I will buy everything. My whole island. You don't remember when my island was covered in turnips? It'll just be covered in NESs if I have to. Because I just want more, like, stuff to do. Like, please. Finally. This is one of those things where I'm like, New Leaf's better, right? And they addressed it. Although, I think there might be some drip drop going on here. Some other stuff. I don't know, you guys like Legos?
Sure.
Yeah.
We're getting Lego stuff. Lego items, Lego beds, Lego chairs, Lego walls, Lego lamps, Lego plants. A lot of Lego stuff. Nintendo and Lego really working well together. You know, like, their collaborations on the toy side, or whatever you want to call Legos, I guess they're toys. They're also, like, investments, basically, because they cost so damn much. But, yeah, this all looks really cool. You got, like, a Lego sofa. You got, like, the t-shirts and, like, yeah, it looks very cool.
I mean, they show you rooms that are just entirely furnished by Lego products. Which, again, gets me excited about the Dream Islands, because, I mean, we've already seen, and some of us have done it, have made, like, themed areas of a map, like an arcade, or, like, a gymnasium or whatnot. Like, people are going to do that now on full Dream Islands. Like, I want to see someone make, like, a Lego Island, or, you know, these other collaborations that we've got as well, I think. Just expand it out.
I'm glad you mentioned the other collaborations. Zelda. David. Zelda.
Yes.
Zelda. Like, yes, we have Mario. Great. There's some Mario stuff in Animal Crossing, and it's all over my island now. But Zelda stuff? You got the Triforce, you got the Zonai authentication sphere thing, you got
Master Sword and the pedestal.
You got the tunic from Twilight Princess. Like, just the tunic was on the wall, and a bunch of Zelda fans were like, "You see, they still acknowledge us." And I'm like, okay. But also,
Majora's Mask was on there too.
But yes, I did see that. But also, we had 2 characters. Who am I throwing off my island so that Minoru can move in? We can get Minoru and Tulin. Tulin can visit. I'm
It's so funny. His model is so funny.
Yeah. I found him annoying in Tears of the Kingdom. Although his power that he gives you, that wind when you're up in the air, very valuable.
Game changer.
Very valuable.
His model in Animal Crossing looks like a weird hybrid of his baby model from Breath of the Wild and his teenage model from Tears of the Kingdom. All packed into one Tulin.
Breath of the Mild is definitely on some Nintendo hater's thumbnail. I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. There's some guy who's like, Nintendo dude.
I am not a Breath of the Wild hater.
The one
that was not a Freudian slip. I love Breath of the Wild.
The one person on the internet who hates it is like, I got a thumbnail idea because of that TJ Denzer. No, TJ loves Zelda. But yeah, like, David, I'm gonna make content out of this. It's gonna be like, you know, like the Love Island, where someone has to be voted off. Like, which of my island dwellers is going to be kicked off the island? Because I gotta make room for Minoru.
I want Minoru.
Minoru needs to live on my island immediately. And I emailed Nintendo. You know, I love to email Nintendo PR questions, right, guys? So I was like, hey, because the way they announced this, David, it was like, this is a Zelda X Amiibo thing. So I was like, right. Do I need like a Minoru Amiibo to do this? Or do I need a Tulin Amiibo? Like, what is this? Like, can I just use my regular Ocarina Zelda Amiibo? Like, what? How? I need to know more. Because I need Minoru to live on my island. And yes.
I bet it is Amiibo, because that's how I got, like, I bought a pack of cards, one per villager. And that's how you invite them. Like, they camp, and then you kind of have to woo them onto your island. So I bet it's the same thing. I bet it is the same thing.
Well, now, are they going to camp, or are they going to stay at the hotel?
Oh, I don't know.
This is an interesting thought.
There is no Minoru Amiibo yet, and there needs to be.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like, I was just looking this up. I was like, is there a Minoru Amiibo? Because, like, I would have that.
There's a Tulin one, and I, of course, didn't buy that. But, like, I was like, what? Where? Is there something we're missing here? And then, yeah, we were just talking about this IP in our previous discussion about what the number 3 IP is at Nintendo. Splatoon. They're doing a crossover with Splatoon as well. This franchise is super popular. Like, it is. I think it's like David, are your nieces super into it, or is that Cart?
Oh, they're into Splatoon big time.
Yeah. Like, younger kids across the world are into Splatoon. I'm into Splatoon. I think Splatoon's one of those very cool Nintendo things where they figured out a way to make a third-person shooter that is not violent. Like, I think that's a cool thing that Nintendo was able to do. It is like they've like are heavily invested in it as an esport. Like, they're not putting up giant prize pools, but like, it's every weekend now. Like, you can be on Nintendo's YouTube channel and watch like some North American tournament going on. They had a big tournament at Nintendo Live for it. This is great news. As one of the olds, like, I like Splatoon. I'm not going to be falling over backwards to put any Splatoon stuff on my island. But it was cool to see, like, actual Splatoon-looking characters being added to the game as well. But yeah, Minoru. How? How do I get Minoru on my island, and who am I throwing off? That is going to be... It'll be like Love Island without the creepy dating aspects of it. It'll just be like Survivor, I guess. But I'm going to definitely make content out of who I throw out of my island to make room for Minoru. But yeah, I just had like 8,000 content ideas when I watched this I said it direct, but when I watched this overview video, I guess is what you could call it.
Right.
Back in my day, this would have been a direct, David.
I know. It would have been in mine too. Now, here's the thing. I'm excited about the Zelda items. I geeked out over that too. But the thing about the Mario items is they have some functionality. Like, the warp pipe is maybe the most useful item in that game.
Oh yeah.
Especially if you want to go from one end of your island to the other. So I hope at least one Zelda item actually creates some sort of function that helps you get around the island.
I love the warp pipes.
Yeah.
But I went a little ham with them.
Oh.
If you make more than 2, it becomes like a random number generator for where you're going to pop out. So now it's just like, I have this one by my house. You jump in it. You're like, I may go one of 3 places. So it's like,
I only use 2.
That's the
one side of my island to the other.
I would warn everyone, don't be like me. Be like David and Donovan. Only use 2 warp pipes. Use warp pipes in moderation, kids, or else you'll end up like me, not knowing where the hell you're going whenever you go in a warp pipe. But I didn't change it because I'm like, I like the randomness of this. I'm going to keep it because it still plops you out on different parts of the island. You can just jump back in and eventually you'll get where you wanted to go.
Be able to program them like in a Halo Forge mode where you're like, this is teleporter A and A, B and B,
or
C and C, link them all.
Or like Mario Maker 2 or Mario Maker where you can each pipe, you're like, hey, this pipe goes here. They like, you build one and then the other, right? Like, that you can't just build one by itself. If you build one by itself in this, you just go in and then you pop right back out, which is also kind of fun. Yeah, this is exciting though. This is just so... I think Nintendo, what was this, on a Thursday? They just like...
Yeah.
They just dropped this massive news event for their second best-selling game on their previous console. They're like, here you go, on a Thursday morning. Whatever. This is a big deal. I saw Animal Crossing actually showed up on the Switch 2 eShop, Donovan. It was like top 5 on the back of this news. So yeah, people are into this. A lot of my like favorite content creators from the Animal Crossing community, like I followed a ton of them on Twitch and YouTube and stuff. They all started streaming again. Like, it was like the whole ACNH community just rose up last week and we're like, we are back. We are going to make things again.
I have a question for Donovan. Donovan, are you back? Are you going to be back?
I'm definitely going to get on to poke around and kick the tires and all this stuff. I don't know if it's going to turn me to a daily player for weeks again at a time, but I'll definitely be back on for at least a few days to check all of this. I saw an interesting point that was like, a lot of people are in for like a rude awakening when they boot this game up for the first time in like 2-3 years, and it's the cobwebs, the roaches you've got to crush. The worst part to me, all the villagers that are like, I haven't seen you in 3 years. I thought you forgot about me. That like guilt trip you all the way.
They have it down to the day. They're like, it's been X amount of years, X amount of days since I last saw you. I thought you forgot about me, and it's like they rip your heart out. I had that experience.
A lot of people are go through that, yeah.
So I went back to Animal Crossing almost exactly a year ago. I don't know what happened in November, but something must have happened in November 2024 that made me want to play a cozy game and forget about reality. You guys can figure it out. But I came back, Donovan, and I had that, where it was like, it's been, I think it was like 3 years for me. I had last played it in 21 or 22. It was 22, so it's been 2 years and X amount of days since I last saw you, and I thought you were dead, or I thought you forgot about me, and it's heartbreaking. I always compare it to, have you guys all seen obviously, David, you've seen Breaking Bad. That season 6 of Breaking Bad when Walter goes back to his house and it's all tagged up and stuff. Like, that's how it feels going back to your island after you've been away for years. You're like, oh man, this is in disarray. You left out weeds, Donovan. There are weeds all over your island.
Yeah.
All the weeds. Yeah. But the thing I love about it, you always have one or two islanders who have been watering your flowers the whole time. And I love those people. I love those villagers for doing that. Because otherwise your flowers would also be dead. And that would be sad. But yeah, being able to store trees, you guys don't understand how huge that is for me. Like, that's a game changer for me. Because
huge.
I don't have the highest rated island, David, and it's largely because Isabel tells me I have so many trees that my residents get lost.
Of course.
And I'm just like, it's part of the economy, damn it. And then also, like, I'm sitting there with like 90 million bells still in my account, so it's like, whatever. By the way, anyone who needs bells, just hit me up. I can just drop 1 million bells off on your island. I don't care. Because I played the turnip game better than anyone in the history of the turnip game. But now I don't want that life. I really don't. So I've just become, I'm a wealth redistributor in Animal Crossing. So if you're really hurting for bells, hit up this guy. This is all fantastic news, though, man. I'm excited. I think a lot of people are excited. I love that it's a free update. That's just at a time where Nintendo is demonized, and we'll get into some of these other stories coming up here about being so financially driven and so greedy. A free update like this, and also the Switch 2 update's only $5.
Yep.
So, and I know it's not like this huge. It's not like Kirby and the Forgotten Lands, the Crystal Shards, right, TJ? That are what was it called? Frozen, whatever.
The Star-Crossed World.
Star-Crossed World. That actually added content, right? This is like, you know, there's features being added. There's a few things. They obviously spent money developing it for Switch 2, but like $5 is a really good price for this. Like,
yeah,
that's not going to break the bank for people who already have it. Now, to get a Switch 2 in your hands, that's $450 or more. That's a whole other story. But $5 is not the end of the world here. And it speaks to that whole Doug Bowser alert, variable pricing that he talked about earlier this year on CNBC or whatever. But yeah, $5. Not that bad. But free? Really good. Free is really good. And man, if this can happen, what else could they do this with? What other games out there that you're like, you know what, that could use another update?
I feel like the question of why they did this is interesting, and we may never know. But like, the game just never stopped selling. I remember at its peak during the pandemic, it had sold like 32 million or something. And now they're back up to what you said earlier, around like
48.
48.
Yeah, 48. Yeah, over
48
4.
million. I kind of feel like they had all these fans, new and old, and they just decided the game was still worth supporting at least one more time. That's kind of my theory crafting.
And like I've seen when Animal Crossing came out, my friend's youngest daughter was 1 year old, right?
Mm-hmm.
And her big sister was like 7 or 8, so she was like super into it. Now the youngest is super into Animal Crossing, and like, her sister's helping her out. So it's like there's a whole generation of kids who Animal Crossing is Nintendo to them, right? So like, yep. This is now like, oh, new thing in same game. Huge value for kids. You're going to get them back into the ecosystem, and then you're going to give them that little, oh, but you can do this with the Switch too. You can do this, It's all about getting people to Switch too, right? They're taking one of their biggest IP, and they're doing this. I saw a lot of people last week saying they should do this with Smash. No, please don't. Don't do this with Smash.
That'll be a new game. It'll be a new game.
We're going to have a larger conversation about where Smash goes from here down the road after Kirby Air Riders comes out, in my opinion, because then we know Sakurai's probably already working on it. I don't know if you guys saw this, is completely tangential, but I brought up Sakurai. He's one of our... We talked about how much we love him on the last episode. His cat's sick, and he was talking about it. He was like, yeah, my cat's been sick for months. His vet said like she could die at any time. So yeah, a lot of the community was just like, hey man, we hope your cat's doing well. But yeah, her name is Furukashi, and we hope she hangs in there. And she's an elderly cat. She's been with him this whole time. He loves this cat, and we love animals and pets here. So we hope she gets better and he can spend more time with her, especially after shipping Kirby Air Riders. So maybe Nintendo give him a break. Don't make him go straight into the Smash Mines. Let him hang out with his cat. But he's also, I think he's a guy who's so talented he can work from home or whatever. He can play games. He can hold a Switch Pro controller with one hand and do a demo like with 2 characters in a Smash game. Like, he's a different dude. But yeah, we hope his kitty cat lasts for a very long time. And if not, just enjoy your time with your pets. But yeah, we got a little bit more Nintendo news before we get into like the big Nintendo news of the week. If that wasn't enough Nintendo news for you, stay tuned. We got more Nintendo news. We got it was like a Resident Evil. It was like 10 minutes of Resident Evil footage and behind the scenes and like devs talking about different things coming to the game. And they announced a couple of Switch 2 specific things. For the first time ever, we're getting a Resident Evil amiibo, which is a big deal. Shouldn't surprise us too much, as we just got Street Fighter 6 amiibo, and we've had Ryu and Ken in Smash. So, like, Nintendo and Capcom working together. There's a Mega Man amiibo. But this is a big deal. But also, like, we got this Pro Controller. It's $100. $99.99. And it apparently already sold out on the My Nintendo store, which means one of two things. People are crazy, or they had like 4 in stock. I'm going to side on the...
I think that's the more likely outcome. There's probably like 150 of these on the website.
So, I know you love Resident Evil, David. What do you think of this controller?
I'm not going to get it. I think it looks kind of funky. And also, we were talking about this before we started recording, but I already own a Pro Controller too. I don't need a custom one. I'm interested in the amiibo because, Capcom and Nintendo have kind of been like this since the NES days, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this is the first amiibo for a rated M game.
Yeah.
Which I think is interesting.
What I just was going through my head was like, this is going to be a Grace Ashcroft amiibo, who's the main character. Are we just going to get an amiibo of somebody holding like a gun, like a real gun, not a Splatoon paint gun, but just like a pistol or like whatever she carries around?
Flashlight.
Yeah. In fact, they showed her holding like an Uzi or something. 'Cause there was a Nintendo tweet that was like, the item doesn't come with whatever. It's a thing you can get in the game or something like that.
Yeah.
I just thought that was interesting. They were going to get an amiibo of a human person with a real weapon. They don't have the Nintendo logo on it.
I just don't like that it says Residente switch to Vil on the controller.
Yeah.
That looks terrible. Who approved that?
This is a symptom of a larger design philosophy issue, I think, with the Pro Controller 1 and 2, that like it's only that like center plate that gets the artwork. The grips they don't touch.
Yeah, they don't touch this
I feel like
part.
they could figure that out. Yeah, I mean the other controllers do that. The DualSense and whatnot, they have the special things on them. Also, I think the decision to make it a newspaper, which the concept I like. It's Resident Evil, so it's like the front page where it's all the stories written. Whenever you put in tiny text on the controller, you've already lost. And then it's the thing where the Switch 2 logo has to be overlaid on top. So now Resident gets cut off. It looks like it says Reside Evil or Resideville or whatever on here.
Residente. Like Presidente without the P is what it looks like. Without the accent. But still, it's like Residente, Switch 2 logo, VIL. And I'm like, that is not, no. $99.99, no thank you. At all. But just cool, man. And like, TJ, you've played Requiem on the Switch 2 and handheld. It ran amazingly for you. We talked about it in a past episode. So it's just cool to see Capcom, like, really one of the best third-party developers on Switch 2 this year. Street Fighter 6, I don't know if you've played it, TJ, but it runs extremely well on the Switch 2. And it seems like we've talked about it with a lot of third parties. The different engines are handling the Switch 2 better or worse, and it seems like the RE engine is one of those that is like really well scaled to this platform. So it's exciting to see them talk about it more.
Yeah, I was impressed with what I played of Requiem when I got to play it on the Switch 2. Like it was like I mentioned it before, like the hair texture takes a little bit of a dip, and I think the lighting stuff is a little less impressive on the Switch 2. But other than that, it's like crisp and perfectly working as intended. Mm-hmm. Like there's nothing wrong with that game. It's perfectly fine on the Switch 2 as far as what I played. And I mean, it is a vertical slice, and they can show us what they want in a vertical slice, but I was impressed to see a game that is that visually technical and impressive, just playing as perfectly fine as it could on Switch 2 in handheld mode. I wasn't even playing on the big screen.
Yeah.
This was handheld mode that I tested that on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's cool that we're getting 3 Resident Evil games all at once, and that Requiem is going to launch day and date with the other platforms. David, are you going to pick it up for Switch 2, or what do you think you're going to play it on? I know you like playing these games on PC.
I'll be playing it on PC.
Because I just know you're still using keyboard and mouse when it comes to a lot of these, right?
Yep.
Have you guys seen his stair strats in RE2 remake? This guy's crazy. He knows how to go upstairs faster than anyone. It's a sight to behold. I've seen it live. But yeah, I'll probably get it for Switch 2 for science, but also just because I think it's cool that I can do it. It's kind of like what I did with Cyberpunk. I'm like, yeah, sure. I have this nice new PC. Cyberpunk probably looks amazing on this PC, but I'm probably going to play it on Switch 2 for just the sheer ability to do it. And it's also one of those ports that came out this year that's actually quite good. And by some miracle fits on a cartridge. Does not look like these Resident...
I thought RE Requiem was a GameCube card.
No. I was talking about Cyberpunk. Fits on a cartridge.
Okay.
You're right. Yeah. None of these Resident Evil games fit on a key card. Also, I think this was one of the devs that was talking about the data speeds on the cartridge not being fast enough to handle some of the tech in the game. It was either that or Final Fantasy, but that is a problem. But we've been talking about all year long that this decision to still use cartridges, which I don't know how you move on from that, because you can't. You're not going to put a DVD player in a Switch 2 or Blu-ray.
The quote you're referring to is from Naoki Hamaguchi, who works on Final Fantasy, specifically the remakes. I can give you his quote here talking about game key cards. He said, "Personally, I feel that the loading speed issue for the game cartridge is more about hardware spec of the Nintendo Switch 2. I'm not with Nintendo, so I can't really speak to that side. That said, I do feel that the game keycard format that Nintendo created for the Switch 2 is a really amazing new idea that has offered for us." And then he says he doesn't really see Nintendo working towards a way to improve loading speed. Essentially, just saying that he thinks that they're going to stay because it's probably more trouble than it's worth to solve at this point. Yeah,
it's not for fans. They didn't make game key cards for collectors. They made them for the developers so that the developers and Nintendo as a publisher can maintain relationships with physical retail stores. That's really what this is about. It's not about what's good for us. But if I can get Final Fantasy VII Remake is a game I am buying on Switch 2. Just because of the history of it, David, that like FF7 on a Nintendo system after everything that happened, that's a win for Nintendo fans and for Square. And like Square had a come to Jesus moment where they're like, hey, you know this whole PlayStation exclusive thing, it hurt us. Like, it did. Like they could have sold more if they didn't do that. And they found that it was hard to double dip when you had like a game that was out on PS5 years ago or out on PS4 years ago. But I believe that developer also did say that like Final Fantasy VII Remake and the accompanying other two games are going to run extremely well on Switch 2. He said they're going to set a standard for third-party ports to the system and releases on the system. So they seem very confident now. Obviously, the Dragon Quest remakes are on Switch and Switch 2 now. Octopath. Like, there's just a lot of games that we're seeing that are still committed to Nintendo. And I think like Switch in general was a great RPG machine. Like people loved playing RPGs on the Switch. And you saw a ton of Japanese companies port them over. Still waiting for like a Baldur's Gate 3 announcement for Switch 2. I feel like that's going to happen eventually.
That would be like a Cyberpunk level pull for them as far as like an intense game running on the Switch 2. That'd be a showpiece if Larian can pull that off. That'd be really cool.
And it's also it'd be perfect for that Joy-Con mouse kind of.
It would.
That would be
because that game is clunky on console.
Yeah, it's not unplayable on controller, but it's way better on PC. That's actually a game I should probably play on PC. Now that I have this PC capable of running games, I'm like starting to be like, oh yeah, there's a game I passed on that I couldn't play, and now I can. Like I have City Skylines too, but it ran like complete ass on my computer, and it was horribly optimized at launch. Now it's like several years later, it's better optimized, and I have a better computer. Baldur's Gate 3 was one that I had to play on my PS5, and you're right, Dom. I didn't enjoy it as much as I probably would have with a mouse. So that is like one of my like, hey, here's a game that should be on Switch 2 wishes. But before we get into the earnings news, we get another Metroid trailer today. I think this game looks fun.
It does. Samus did the Akira slide.
I found that entertaining. I think it's entertaining that Donovan even knows the Akira slide and has watched the movie.
I mean, I feel like even if you haven't seen Akira, that has been done in just a million movies and shows at this point. That I'd be shocked if you haven't seen it. It's it's everywhere.
But if you haven't seen Akira, kids at home who think that the kids at home who comment on our videos that think that TJ's pirated Hyrule Warriors and posted the gameplay, they might not know that Akira exists. It's really cool. You should watch it, but you maybe ask your parents first because you're like 5. But yeah, we're not out here pirating Nintendo content. We have a relationship with their PR. They tell us, hey, you can post this gameplay if you follow these rules. And then we do follow the rules, and we get to post gameplay a couple days early. And that's how the internet and media works sometimes, kids. Anyway, I'm interested in this Metroid game. I played it. I was talking to Donovan about it before we went live today and we started recording here. And I think the mouse functionality is really cool. This is the game out of every mouse game I played at that April event where I was like, oh, okay, this is how you could implement this in a first-person shooter. where it's this balance where, yeah, you can still scan and you can still lock on and all this stuff, but playing this at 120 hertz, 1080p with mouse controls, I was like, oh, this feels like it performs well, right? Like, and that was never something we were talking about with Switch 1 first-person shooter games. It was always some sort of compromise, right? Oh, like, you know, yeah, Doom runs on it, but look at these textures. Like, this game looks visually appealing. Obviously, it's a Switch 1, Switch 2 straddle game, so it has to run on the original Switch. I don't think we've seen any gameplay of it running on the original Switch, so that's going to be kind of like Pokemon, Donovan, where once the game launches, we'll probably hear more about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm interested to learn more about this game. It feels like Nintendo's starting to hype it up a little bit more, so we got a trailer today. We're recording this on, Tuesday, November 4th. We are exactly a month away from the release of this game. Finally. Doug Bowser's swan song, right? And Reggie's, in a lot of ways. Reggie was the one who announced this at an E3 Direct. I think Reggie was also the one who announced the delay of this game. So, or maybe he was just part of the announcement of that delay. But anyway, long time coming. I think the motorcycle looks cool. I think the open world mechanics look kind of interesting. It seems like there's still a hub world that you kind of drive out of to do things, but I'm interested.
I'm a little nervous about the motorcycle. The mobility of Samus has always been a selling point of Metroid for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to have to use a vehicle. I want to move on foot. I want to be the little ball. I don't know that I want to use a motorcycle unless it's as seamless as everything else you can do with Samus in terms of mobility.
Yeah, I get that entirely. Like, I want it to be as innovative and interesting as the Morph Ball was, right? Like,
yeah,
how that informed level design. Like, you're right. There's so much about the original Metroid games and the locomotion of those that, like, it's why they keep calling these games Metroidvanias, right? Like, locomotion is such a core part of that, especially in the 2D games. But yes, even in the Prime series. I agree with that. I wonder if it's like I have to play Destiny once a week for Shacknews because I make this video on Friday, Destiny 2. And every time you, like, go somewhere, they show you this spaceship, right? You don't actually get to control it. You just land places. I wonder if it's going to be like that, where it's just, like, a way that they handle getting out of the hub world. You know? Like, we'll see. Because so far I haven't seen, like, gameplay necessarily. Right? We haven't heard anyone with hands-on with the motorcycle. It's always, like, it could be a cutscene-ish kind of thing you're looking at, right? So I'm with you there, David. I'm not entirely sure, but that amiibo looks really cool. I'm in trouble. I might start buying amiibo again, guys. And this is like, I've been off of that habit for like years. But they're like releasing really cool. They're releasing really cool ones. Even the Kirby ones look good. Like, if they're like $50, if you buy all the Kirby amiibo, like for Air Riders, it's like $250. Which,
jeez.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. I'd rather just buy games. Yeah, let's get to it. Nintendo reported earnings, you guys. I was up at butt-ass o'clock with Sam Chandler, and Ozzy stopped by to help out with some reporting. So let's hit these stories. Nintendo Switch 2, which is what this podcast is based around, has sold over 10 million units in like 5 months. That seems good. It's actually the best-selling console in that time period of all time. Seems pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Mario Kart World has sold 9.57 million units, so it's now no longer a 1-to-1. It was very close to a 1 attach rate. It's now like 95%. Ruined. Nintendo's ruined. $80 game. No one's going to buy it. What everyone did, which we said would happen, is everyone bought the bundle. Because it's a no-brainer. Hey, you want to save $30? Buy the Mario Kart bundle. Because you're going to need a Switch 2 to play Mario Kart World. Do the math, kids. You save $30 by buying the bundle. But here's the other thing, Donovan. I think this Pokemon game might be selling Switch 2s. Because they now expect, Nintendo now forecasts, they will sell 19 million Switches by the end of March 2026. And this quarter they just reported did not include sales of Pokemon Legends ZA or the bundle. So, seems like that Pokemon game might be kind of popular.
Yeah, I mean, anecdotally, I know at least I think I have 2 friends that bought Switch 2s. They waited from launch until the last few weeks to get one for Pokemon. I think even though the game is cross-generation, I think Pokemon, has built a reputation on the Switch for being like a subpar performing game, and I think the word of mouth being that this game was buttery smooth made people want to buy a new one, right? Like even though, you look back at like a Breath of the Wild, right? Even though that was a Wii U game as well as Switch, people bought a Switch to play it, because that was going to be the nicest, best, shiniest way to play, and I think we're seeing something like that with Pokemon.
To be fair about the Wii U here, there were only 13.5 million Wii U's sold, period.
Oh, that's right, they didn't have one, yeah.
So a lot of people just didn't have a Wii U, and they weren't going to be like, new thing out, I'm going to get the Wii U now. I will have waited for 5 years, and now I'm going to buy this goat of a system. I love the Wii U. I will not tolerate Wii U slander. But at the same time, when a jaboofer is tweeting about how Nintendo was financially successful from the Wii U, which was trending yesterday, I will come in with a sledgehammer and be like, nope, 3 years, financial losses. Their back was up against the wall when they launched the Switch. It was a huge deal that the Switch was a success. Some investors made a lot of money. I wonder who. Anyway, Donkey Kong Bonanza. I think this is a very impressive number. 3.49 million units sold since launch from July until the end of September 2026. That's impressive. Like, that's 1 out of 3 Switches, or Switch 2s, have Donkey Kong Bonanza now. And,
that's a great attach rate.
That's very solid. If that continues, this game might end up being the best-selling Donkey Kong of all time, which would be really interesting. We'll see what happens. But, I when we were preparing for these reports, I went into my Switch 2 photo album, and I love that you can navigate on the Switch OS now by game. So I went to Donkey Kong Bonanza, Donovan, and I just started looking through all my screenshots, and I had this giant smile on my face. That game is so damn cute. There's all these adorable moments. I love how expressive DK is in that game. I'm seeing a lot of people who didn't play Odyssey discovering Nintendo platformers through Donkey Kong Bonanza, beating the game, and then picking up Odyssey. Because they're like, I hear this team made Odyssey. And I'm like, boy howdy, are you in for a treat? But yeah, like, I think it's funny to see so many people who were like not involved on the Switch ecosystem at all discovering the magic of Nintendo 3D platformers backwards through Donkey Kong. But I've seen it with a lot of I see it on my timeline too, Donovan. A lot of people have bought Switches or Switch 2s in the last month. So that's not even in this quarter that they just reported. So it doesn't surprise me that they're like, hey, they previously expected to sell 15 million units by the end of March 2026. They upped that by 4 million. That's a big deal. 19 million units. We reported on that rumor from Bloomberg a couple of weeks ago that they are now expected to have production capacity up to 25 million. Also, just kudos to Nintendo, man. This had to have been a logistical nightmare to get the Switch 2s to America in the middle of this trade war, right? Like, everything going on, I haven't seen it in I joke about it all the time, David, because I go to, Meijer in our town, and there's always a Switch 2 in stock. Like, almost always. Doug Bowser said that they were going to have a lot of supply, and Furukawa said this also in Japan, to prevent scalping. And I think they've succeeded in America and in Europe on that front. Not as much in Japan. This thing is selling like crazy over there. I think it's the best-selling console launch in Japanese history. But yeah, it's also everywhere else. It's selling like crazy as well. So those are the two game sales data points that we got. Mario Kart on its way to 10 million units sold. Donkey Kong probably over 3.5 million units sold. The Switch and the DS are like right there. They're real close. It's like 154.2 million DS systems have sold, and 154.1 million Switch Ones have sold. So it's very likely that this Christmas quarter will be the one where the Switch becomes the best-selling Nintendo console of all time. And then maybe we can declare it the GOAT. But I think there's a lot of people who feel very strongly about the DS being the GOAT. So it'll be an interesting conversation.
Are you talking handheld? So because it's also surpassed PlayStation 2, right?
Well, depends who you talk to at Sony, David. Some people at Sony say there's 160 million units sold. The financial reporting says otherwise, but I won't declare victory for Switch until it gets above 160 million units sold, which I think is inevitable at this point. It's just a matter of time. Although the price changes have definitely affected the supply-demand dynamic for this, right?
I was going to ask you about that. Like, do you think the Switch One price upgrade is going to affect how many people pick it up for Christmas, especially with Switch 2 being out there?
Yes. Especially, like, in the absence of a bundle, right? Like, and also, like, who out there doesn't already have Card 8 Deluxe and a Switch, right? They already have 154 million of them out there. You know, like, are you really going to want to buy an OLED for $50 less than the Switch 2?
Yeah.
I think that calculus has shown up now. And, I doubt it. But I just think over the arc of time, like, they're going to try to... Nintendo likes high scores. They want to hit the high score. And, you know, maybe with some of these progress on the tariff side with China, maybe? Probably not. They could lower the prices back to regular before the tariffs. They won't. None of these companies are going to. But it would be cool, wouldn't it? Let's see. What else happened? They increased their full year guidance. So they now expect to make more money. They expect to have, I think it's like 20% more sales than previously reported. And they announced a new change in their dividend policy. So if you're a Nintendo shareholder, previously... There are these two numbers that they calculate when they determine their per share dividends. One is based on operating profit, a consolidated operating profit, and it's like 33% is the divisor of that, and then they divide it by the overall shares. And that's like, it's one of two numbers. It's that, or it's 50% of consolidated profit rounding up to the nearest yen. They bumped both of those numbers up now. So now shareholders are getting 40% of consolidated operating profit or 60% of consolidated profit. Just big words, bunch of numbers, but basically line go up, dividend go up, good news for Nintendo shareholders. And that just means they said, oddly enough, that they I thought this was interesting, Donovan, as our Pop Goes the Culture co-host here. The entertainment business in which we are engaged is extremely fast-paced, and its future is difficult to predict. We believe that paying dividends based on periodic profits and losses, which are linked to profits, is the type of shareholder return that suits the characteristics of our business. And our basic policy for shareholder returns is to pay out dividends. While this basic policy for shareholder returns remains the same, like I said, they just increased the numbers, taking into consideration the current business environment and financial position of the company group, we will change dividend policy as follows. I think it's interesting that they're like the entertainment business, right?
Yeah.
This isn't just the video games industry. They're talking about the Mario movie here, and that they saw their IP-related income dip like 12% year over year because of that. I just thought it was interesting. They call themselves an entertainment business now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they partner with Universal. They started making these Mario movies. They're in Hollywood now, right? And Hollywood has been incredibly volatile, very similar to the games industry over the past 5 years during the pandemic. They just went through dual strikes for the first time in decades. We live in a world now where, movies come out and they're on streaming services in 3 weeks when it used to be 3 months. We have, studios constantly closing. Warner Brothers might get acquired. Like, I could see why Nintendo would look at that and be like, it's a very volatile industry right now, We're getting statements about potential tariffs on foreign movies. Like, yeah, a company that's, just now putting that big step into movies in Nintendo, I could 100% see why they would say that.
And they're cautious, right? They're not going
Yeah.
all in on movie production. They have Nintendo Pictures, which is their own internal studio, but so far we've only seen Close to You, obviously the cutscenes from Tears of the Kingdom, and before that, the Smash trailers and all that good stuff. But they have a partnership now with Sony for the Legend of Zelda live action movie. They have Chris Malahandri from Illumination on their board of directors. So, yeah, they have a very close relationship with Universal. And it's not just film, Donovan, it's the amusement parks as well, which is also a very volatile industry. And COVID is another perfect example of that, where, Disney stock crashed during that time period because people stopped going to the amusement park. And that's a large part of the revenue over there at Disney. It's not at Nintendo right now. IP-related income is like almost the cherry on top still for this company. But I think it's important to note that there is a Mario movie coming out next year, next fiscal year for them, FY27. But I thought that was interesting. They are in the entertainment business.
I was going to comment on that, Asif. If you look back, Nintendo has kind of always adopted that stance, though. Like the NES stands for what? The Nintendo Entertainment System.
Yeah.
They didn't want to label it a video game console, probably because of market conditions in North America at the time. But I feel like they've always avoided jargon. Like if you look at Iwata Asks, they don't refer. You know how every time a game is mentioned, they define it. If you look at like when they say like, oh, Super Mario Brothers is an action game, they don't call it a platformer because that's too jargony. They use words people can understand. And so I feel like this is just a part of their history. They've always been in the entertainment business, but now the definition is more explicit.
I feel like in a lot of ways, they're a toy company. And it's and it's like now they basically make interactive toys more than any other ones. But like Ultra Hand is one of their like, I love how they keep talking about Ultra Hand everywhere. Like it's in the museum. It was a large part of Tears of the Kingdom. It's in Hyrule Warriors, TJ. Like Ultra Hand.
Animal Crossing.
It's an Animal Crossing, and it's the literal Ultra Hand, like the original Ultra Hand that they made, like little grabby thing. So it's just like it's funny how they've always been a toy company. They've always been like, think about playing cards. What are playing cards? They're an entertainment product, right? So hell, the Love Hotel business that they used to have, David, that's an entertainment business of sorts. So yeah, like, they've always been in the entertainment game, I guess is my point. But it is interesting though that they're like, to your point, David, they're like, we're not a niche. We are a bigger thing. So instead of acting like Microsoft, we're like, we're competing with TikTok. It's just, we're in the entertainment business. I think that's an interesting way to say it. But yeah, like, seems like exclusive titles are good for video game companies. Like Donkey Kong Bonanza, you can't play that on PlayStation, right?
You cannot.
Can you play Mario Kart World on an Xbox? You can't. You can play Mario Kart on a phone. Tour.
Yeah.
But it's ass.
Inferior.
But it's ass. You can play Mario Run on a phone. But it's ass. Donovan, just tangential. Did you see the sales for Pokemon TCG Pocket?
Dude, that game makes money like nobody's business, and it's actually kind of sad because that game is not in a great state, and it's constantly a mess. And since the saga of Cyberpunk delays, not since then have I seen so many tweets from a developer of like statement on like blank background because there's so many things they've done with that game that people hate that they have to constantly apologize for, and yet it is still just like making ungodly amounts of money. It's pretty baffling.
Here's the actual number: $1.3 billion in its first year. That's better than Pokemon Go's first year.
Yeah,
that's just an also. By the way, Like, Nintendo owns 33% of that, so they get to just pocket that money, and they don't have to do anything.
No, it's the perfect recipe for success, too, because one, it's Pokemon, the biggest IP in the world, but more importantly, it comes out at the height of Pokemon trading card fever,
Yep.
where people are, like, fighting in Target parking lots over, like, TCG expansions.
Yep.
And if you're just like, screw that noise, you could just sit at home and get the infinite supply of packs on your phone, and they look shiny, and they move when you twist your phone around, and you can battle people with them, and they've simplified all the mechanics so you don't really have to learn how to play TCG. Yeah, it was a recipe for success, and they are reaping the rewards.
I believe the day that it was announced, I messaged you. I'm like, this is a license to print money. I'm like, I don't know if this is going to be good. I doubt it. But, like, it's a license to print money, and it is addictive. Yeah. And it's like all those things that I don't really like about mobile games. Pokemon Company has kind of figured it out over there. And that shit just prints money, for real. But yeah, anyway, seems like exclusives might work in the video games industry if you're not up your own butt thinking about AI assistance all day long. You might actually be able to make a fucking video game or give your developers time to make a video game that's exclusive to your system. And it could move units. It's still possible in 2025. Ask Sony and ask Nintendo. Don't ask Microsoft. Anything. Ever. Ask Copilot in your Notepad app on your Windows 11 device while Greg exports a video on his ROG Ally. I'm sorry. Sorry, Greg. You didn't have to catch that straight. He doesn't even have a ROG Ally. I do. And that's why I talk so much shit about it. I handed it to David. I'm like, just try to start a game. Like, just try. He couldn't even do it.
No.
Because... Anyway, enough shitting on the ROG Ally. That thing came and went. Remember, that was going to be a Switch killer, by the way. Seems like this whole thing, though, I guess to wrap up the financial story here, the Switch 2 was a risk for the company. They, I think, have handled it very well. They've navigated the tariffs very well. They have done it at the expense of margins. They had 60% gross margins last year. Admittedly, they weren't selling much hardware last year. It was the end of the Switch cycle. And they were selling more software, where their margins are way higher on software than they are on hardware. This year, they've moved back to hardware. They're experiencing like 110% year-over-year growth in the first half of fiscal 26 compared to fiscal 25. That's crazy. But their profit margin's like at 18% right now for the first half of the year. So it's less than half of what their profit margins were last year at this time. I think that's interesting because a lot of people are like, oh, they're greedy this, they're greedy that. I think they have sacrificed profitability to get Switch 2 in as many hands as possible. And out of all the things they've raised prices on, they've raised prices on Amiibo, they've raised prices on Switch 2 accessories, they've raised prices on the Switch themselves, they've raised prices on games. They have not raised the price of the Switch 2 this year. Contrary to what every jaboofer on the internet said back in April. That has not happened. I think they deserve some credit for that. And I think they've handled this really well. I was shocked at that 10 million unit number. That's a lot of Switch 2s sold in a very short amount of time. And that takes a lot of work from a lot of people, a lot of different supply companies, the logistics of it all, having to diversify your supply chain between China and Vietnam, announcing this thing on the day that Trump announced all those tariffs. Like, the deck was not really stacked in their favor, and I think they've done very well so far, and that's impressive. Real quick, Donovan, I'm ranked E. I'm ranked D in Pokemon Legends ZA. I'm now ranked D. I did the whole sewer mission. That Fist of Justice guy is literally just Leroy Jenkins. He is hilarious.
Yeah, he's great.
Like, this doesn't spoil anything, but like, you're helping him do something in the game, and you're with the detective lady, Emma, right? And Emma's like this super intellectual, like deducing things. And every time she comes to a conclusion for like the next thing they need to do, dude just turns and burns. He's like, I'm out of here. What's his name? Ivor?
Ivor, yeah.
Ivor might be one of my favorite characters because he's like, his solution to everything is punching it. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
It reminded me of Donkey Kong Bonanza a little bit, Don. And she's like, no, we don't break public property. He's like, he's like, I just want to punch the thing. Can't I punch the thing this time? It's really funny. And then now, this isn't much of a spoiler, I don't think. One of my teammates in MZ, Donovan, is apparently got us indebted to the Yakuza in town, in Lumio City.
Such a funny storyline that just comes out of nowhere. Yeah, where they're just like, your friend owes us a lot of money, and it's like, what? And you're like running errands for the mob. Yeah.
You wake up one morning and you're being threatened by the local mob.
Yeah.
It's just like, what?
Your fellow teammates are so mean about it too. They're like, she's so stupid. How could she do this? I'm like, jeez, man.
She's just trying to get people to stay at the hotel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, that storyline caught me off guard, and it's hilarious. I'm like, the writing of this game is really good. Like,
it is.
That first hour chugs. It's slow. But once you get into it, man, like, I am into this game. Like, I am enjoying the battle zone. I'm really getting into the wild zones now. I'm finally, like, I have a victory bell or that I can mega evolve.
Yeah.
I have the whatever the hell his name. The my starter. I can mega evolve him. Absol I can mega evolve. Yeah. I am saving up to buy a Charizard stone. Did you end up buying one?
I bought them, yeah, just because I was going for completion, and you need all the stones for all the Mega Evolution.
So you got the X and the Y stone for Charizard?
I got them both, yes. They are different. The forms are different. For X, he becomes Dragon Fire, and then for Y, he remains Fire Flying, but his fire stuff gets way more and more powerful. So
which one should I buy? Different.
I mean, X is the fan favorite. It's the cool looking one because he becomes like this flyer turns blue and he turns from like orange to black. He looks shiny. That's the exciting one. So I'd probably go for that one. It'll wow you.
That was my gut. But I bought some pants so I don't look like a complete buster anymore. I went to that series of stores that you recommended.
Yeah.
I just bought some pants. I still need to get like I still have the default Pokemon satchel. Still rocking the MZ, and I still have my fedora. I haven't found a hat that I like yet. But definitely feels like hats are going to be my way forward here because I don't like my hairstyle in the game.
Yeah.
I tried to take a picture with my Pokemon, and there was just some dumbass NPC standing in the shot. He wouldn't go away. What's the deal with that?
They'll do that, yeah. Yeah, they'll do that if you're just near them. They'll make faces and stuff too if you change the little like emotion thing.
I was just sitting on a bench with my Charizard and my Feraligatr. Yeah, that's right. And my Feraligatr was all curled up and sleeping. It was adorable. Yeah, that game's delightful. And I was called a paid actor in the comments to one of our vertical videos where I was praising the game. I wish. Can you imagine being paid to say you like Nintendo games? Can you imagine Nintendo actually paying someone to say they like Pokemon?
I know, yeah. Yeah. The last company that would spend any sort of money on that.
Hey guys, got a new Shacknews business model. We're going to just get paid by developers to say nice things about their games.
The conspiracy to convince people that Pokemon is good.
Yeah. The franchise needs a lot of help.
We're still waiting on that check from the Mortal Kombat devs or Digital Eclipse for David writing that long read. We're still waiting on the check from them for that. We're still waiting on the check for Ozzy's review for that collection as well. And yeah, TJ's still waiting for his check from Nintendo for saying nice things about that Korok guy in Hyrule Warriors. It's just ridiculous.
His name is Calamo, and I'll ask you to put some respect on his name.
I knew that was going to happen. That's why I said it the way I did. But yeah, this is just so ridiculous. Like, if only If only I was paid to say nice things about Nintendo. The only way I get paid is I took my money and invested it in Nintendo stock back during that 3-year period when the Wii U was stinking up the joint. Because I knew at that time that they had an IP war chest, and if you backed out their cash, this is just a fact, guys. Nintendo's market cap was $11 billion at the bottom of the Wii U cycle. They had $8 billion of cash at the time and very little debt. So you could back out the cash. You were buying Nintendo stock, essentially, for $3 billion. That's every IP they owned. That's their whole lineup, dating back to the Ultra Hand. And now look at it. It's over $100 billion. So it just takes time. Good ideas take time, I guess is what I'll say about investing in this stock. But yeah, full disclosure, I'm a Nintendo shareholder. I took my money, put it into it, and I made money. But do I move the stock when I say something nice about them? No. It's shit like this yesterday moves the stock. Actually executing will move the stock. But yeah, if only Shacknews was paid to say nice things about video games, we would be wildly profitable. And we'd probably have our own meme coin. But yeah, that'll do it for the show. Thank you for reviewing Hyrule Warriors, TJ. We appreciate it. Age of Imprisonment is out on Thursday, right?
Yes, November 6th. It'll be out shortly. If you keep seeing my gameplay, just know that I do not post story battles. I didn't post any battles from the actual story of the game. So even my gameplay is spoiler-free.
Yeah, it's just going to show you the gameplay mechanics, highlighting sync attacks and some of the other cool stuff that we saw there. Yeah, and just a reminder, I went in Tears of the Kingdom. I captured all those cutscenes in the memories in 4K. So if you want to watch those on YouTube, they are on our YouTube channel. Heavily marked with spoilers. If I was worried that there was going to be a thumbnail, like auto-generated thumbnail, I put a spoiler alert on the thumbnail. So if you haven't seen Tears of the Kingdom and you want to play it yourself, go do that before you play Hyrule Warriors. And, maybe you can even find it used some places, right? Like a physical cartridge for Tears of the Kingdom. It's probably out there. But yeah, good show, guys. That'll do it. Like, follow, and subscribe. We're on all the various podcast facilities. If you review us, it helps. So give us 5 stars, say nice things about us, or tell me my face is ugly, and I'll just do my best not to make fun of your mom in replies. So see you next time, everybody. Bye-bye.